Hey, what's up guys? This is Ryan from White River Overland. Today I'm going to be taking you through all the core essentials that I recommend bringing with you when you're heading out on any van trip. I keep all of these things inside my van ready to go at all times. They cover any emergencies, any roadside repair and fixes, general maintenance for your vehicle, as well as recovery and just all sorts of odds and ends that you run into when you're out on the road. If you're looking for a good gear checklist before you head out on any overland trip, we do have a hard copy downloadable on our website. Check out the White River Overland blog for more details on that. With that said, let's jump into it and I'll show you what I'm bringing along. Starting over here, we've got some tire repair and some roadside repair gear that I like to make sure to have on hand at all times. First up is my DeWalt tire inflator. This thing isn't fancy, it's nice and simple, but what I really like about this is I can set the PSI on the front and it'll automatically stop when it hits that PSI, so I can make sure all of my tires are evenly inflated. It also has some nice attachments over here for paddle boards, bikes, balls, all that kind of stuff. This thing is bomb-proof and it's been great for me. Next up, I've just got some general puncture repair and valve cores, things like that I just keep in a little bag here in case I hit a nail or something on the trail. In case of any sort of fuse problems, I do keep a bunch of additional fuses on hand as well. These just come in an assorted pack, so I have tons of different sizes here. Nice to know that I have a bunch of replacements if necessary. This is a jumper box that allows me to jump myself or anyone else without needing a vehicle-to-vehicle jump. If I'm alone, this is obviously great peace of mind, but if someone else's battery dies and they're parked in a spot that's hard to get two vehicles nose to nose, this is really handy to have. It also doubles as a flashlight. You can charge devices off this in a pinch if needed, so definitely recommend having something like this on hand. Next is my bottle jack. Bottle jacks are much beefier, much more reliable. Definitely my go-to, especially for a heavy vehicle like this. For changing tires, I do prefer to have a large torque wrench on hand. So this thing's massive, but it allows me to torque the lug nuts down to the factory specs and just gives me nice peace of mind to know that nothing's gonna come loose out on the trail or on the road. For any work in the dark, I have a headlamp. Headlamps are great so that you have your hands free. You don't need to be holding a flashlight or keep one in your mouth, all that kind of stuff. So definitely recommend a headlamp for any sort of vehicle repair. I've got a simple set of mechanics gloves. They hold up great and they're super comfortable. Keep a large socket set here. This set from DeWalt has a bunch of different attachments and things that I can use with my socket wrenches and my torque wrench. All right, jumping into my emergency gear and first aid. First up, I'll talk about communications. I like to keep a GMRS radio for communication with other people in my group. These have a great range. You do need a license for these, but it's super simple to get. And I find that this is a lot more reliable than an FRS radio. However, if you don't want to get a license, I do recommend the Rocky Talkies. I find that those are the best as opposed to just a simple blister pack style that you might see at Walmart or whatever. I love these ones from Midland. They've got a great range, great clarity, great battery life. So this is always handy. For anything more intense, I do recommend having a satellite communication device. This Garmin InReach Mini is kind of the gold standard for satellite communication. I use this if I need to get in touch with my wife if I'm solo, or send a text that I made it to a campsite, something like that. You can send an SOS for emergency services from this if anything bad were to happen. Knock on wood, I've never had to do that, luckily, but do recommend keeping this on hand for all those off-grid adventures where you will lose cell signal just in case anything were to happen and you need to get in touch with others. A lot of people now are installing Starlinks on their vehicle. That is another option if you're looking to stay connected while off-grid. I'm not there yet, so I keep this Garmin on hand at all times. In case of emergency, I also like to have a raincoat on hand just in case I run into inclement weather or need an additional layer. Bought this one cheap on eBay, but it's a really nice one. I do recommend investing in foul weather gear, and you can find really good deals on eBay for a fraction of the cost of these were new. So I know that I have really good gear, but since I'm not using it very often, I was okay with a worn one from eBay. Also, in case of inclement weather and we need to stay warm, I keep this Nemo puffin blanket on hand for those colder nights or just making sure that I have some additional warmth. This one's nice because it folds up into this nice little carrying case. packs away small, but is really, really warm. I also always keep some cold weather gear in here. I've got some wool socks, I've got some hats, additional layers. All this stuff just stays packed in here in case I need it, especially out here in Colorado where the weather changes constantly and you run into really cold temps even in the summer. Good to have this stuff on hand in case anyone gets hurt and needs some first aid. I have this large first aid kit from My Medic that I just keep on the back of my seat here in the van. It's got MOLLE attachments here, so I can just attach this securely in there. This thing is super robust, has 99% of what I would ever need. Highly recommend checking out My Medic because it's really nice that these just come packed and ready to go. And you can really dial in your kit for the adventures that you're going on. Another key piece of emergency gear, of course, is a good fire extinguisher. I highly recommend getting one that not only works for vehicle fires, but also general fires as well. So before buying a fire extinguisher, definitely make sure that it's one that is all-purpose and can cover a bunch of different fire types. Especially out here in the West, it's crucial that you have a fire extinguisher. Make sure that you can put out a fire quickly if you run into one. So for the recovery gear, I kept it to just the basics. This van's not doing any sort of crazy off-roading or wheeling. I'm not getting into super sticky situations. This gear is meant more for getting stuck in mud, sand, snow, that kind of stuff that I run into all the time. First up, I have a kinetic recovery strap. This one's great, especially for getting stuck in snow and mud, where you just need an extra tug to get out. It has a little bit of a stretch to it too, so it adds a little bit of extra energy to be able to pull a vehicle out and doesn't do any damage to the vehicle itself, which is really nice. Make sure if you have a recovery strap that it's not a tow strap without any sort of stretch, because that will do a lot of damage to both vehicles and can put a lot of strain on your equipment. This is just great peace of mind in case you get stuck and you need someone to yank you out. Along with that, I always keep a few soft shackles. These are much safer than the metal shackles that a lot of people use, yet they're still super strong. Metal shackles can act as a projectile. These are much safer in case this were to snap and you get something flying through the air. Highly recommend going with the soft shackle and leaving your metal shackles at home. Another classic piece of recovery gear is just a simple shovel. This one is nice and compact, so if you get stuck in sand, dirt, snow, whatever, a shovel should be your first line of defense. This simple shovel has been perfect and is really all you need. In case you get stuck a little bit more deeply, these recovery boards are always super handy. I highly recommend going for nicer recovery boards. I just upgraded these from my cheap Amazon ones that have since fallen apart. These are not Max Tracks. However, if you have the budget for Max Tracks, those are great. I really like the size of these, and I also use these to level out the van sometimes as well if you just need a little bit of lift. So I find that recovery boards are super handy. They're very easy to toss to someone else if they're stuck, so they're very transferable between vehicles. And it's just a core piece of gear that you need to have on anything that's going off-road, even if it's not super intense. Next, these are not necessarily for recovery per se, but it's a very handy thing to have. These are leveling blocks that allow you to level out your van when you get to your campsite, so your head is not tilted downhill, or you're not off kilter. Just allows you to have a much flatter surface to not only sleep but also hang out. These come with a bunch in the package, so you can really customize your setting. Last but not least, every good van kit has to have a tool bag. I've built out this Blue Ridge Overland gear bag with just some random odds and ends that help me with general maintenance and fixes both on the trail and just around the van. I've got some simple electrical tape, a screwdriver with interchangeable bits, flashlight, lighter, some paracord, a multi-tool, just things like that that can help me fix little things or make minor adjustments to my gear out on the road. If this feels a little too big for you, I did just build out this mini toolkit that has a lot of the same things in here, but at a much smaller size. I've got a lot of tools in here, but it packs down small, so this is really nice to be able to toss in a pocket, throw in a bag. I can bring this with me and still covers pretty much all my bases. So if you're curious about this, I'll link the full video in the description below. If you'd like a detailed breakdown of all the tools that I bring with me, let me know and I'll make a separate video on all those. All right guys, well that's it for all the core essentials that I bring with me on every van trip. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful if you're looking to make sure that you have all the gear that you need before heading out on your adventures. If I forgot anything, or if you have any suggestions for things to add to my Overland gear setup, please add them in the comments below. And again, if you're looking for the hard copy download of this Overland gear checklist, head over to our blog at whiteriveroverland.com and you can download a copy there. If you have any questions about this gear, or you need help building out your van or staying prepared out there, hit us up at whiteriveroverland.com. We'd love to chat. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you in the next one.